Everyone, and I wanted to provide a lab based off of the assignment. And I know what I asked for, and it could be confusing, and I want to make complete sense of what I'm asking for and kind of demonstrate an example of what I'm thinking about and how to apply it. So it coexists with what we talked about this week. So the case study is you are a software engineer. You've just developed the next big app that is mind blowing and will change the way that people interact socially with both personal and change industry standards. So, what that means basically is it the next greatest thing? Maybe, maybe not. So, take Instagram for example. Instagram was purchased by uh, Facebook. I don't remember the exact dates, but it was maybe 5, 6 years ago for $1 billion, which was pretty impressive. That's a huge number. Just to purchase an app at that rate, and so that could be the next big thing. Recently, a couple of days ago, Giphy, Giphy, this site right here. Yeah, there it is. I think that's the site. Yeah, Giphy. Facebook just purchased it for $700 million. It's a site that has a bunch of GIFs on it. So, anyhow, that's what we're thinking. We developed that next big thing. You did, and someone is probably going to purchase it, maybe in the future. But before we get all the way down to the end, we have to figure out how to make this work. So put together a story of what you have developed. Gather pre-survey data from your audience, your choice of who that is, but together the data for the post-survey of your audience. And I'll show you an example of what I'm thinking of. And then ideas of the story is to explain why you should receive funding for your app to be successful. So if I were going to put an app together, one of the things that would be concerning to me would be, well, I would need disk space. So obviously I'd be using an API, which is a way to communicate from a database to and this is not a computer science class, but a way to communicate between a database and the application itself. So it's a way to save data, put it somewhere, locate it, whatever the case is. But nonetheless, let's minimize that. Nonetheless, you need a way to capture that information. So I would need funding in order to have that environment up and running, so I don't have to pay for it out of my own pocket, or it could be costly over time. And then also with those APIs, and then you're going to need them to be streamlined and quicker. So then you're going to have to talk about putting application servers together. You're going to have to talk about putting load balancers, all this stuff that costs money. So anyways, that's what I would think off the bat, what I would need to do. So ideas of stories explain why you're looking to receive the funding. It could also be for advertisement. It could be how to get your name out there. So for example, when's the last time you went on, if you have an Instagram or Facebook and you see an app that pops up and you're like, oh, that looks pretty cool, I'll download it. Well, that's one way, people using advertisement to get their name out there. So what am I looking for from you? I'm looking for collection data, CSV files probably would be the best, and then import them into Tableau. So this demo that I'm providing here will be in 2 steps. This first step is me kind of giving you the run view of what I'm looking for. The second step is showing you a sample of data, what I'm looking for you guys to do. And then the third step will be another video where I will show you how to basically do something similar in Tableau. At this point, we haven't learned anything new, so what we've learned with Tableau will still be pretty much the same. I'm looking for you to choose 3 of the graphs that we've discussed in the lecture via Tableau. Create a PowerPoint presentation and explain what your audience investors thought of your idea before you showed them. So basically, hey, here's my pitch. I have this app that does X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And how did it change when you provide them the data? Show them the graphs of how things started and where it's at today. Provide an analysis of how the data modified from start to finish, and show how the new data will be effective. Basically, what we're trying to accomplish here is we're trying to show them, hey, this is what product that we have. Here's the audience that we have. Here's how many maybe impressions or how many visits that we're getting or how many likes that we're getting. The thing that people are attractive to if they're going to make a investment is if your application has the audience. So for example, I'll give you an example. This DJ from Baltimore recently, DJ Kopek. I started following him. He started popping on Facebook. He had some really cool stuff. He was playing some really good jams in his basement. And this past weekend, Saturday, or over a period of time, he raised $1 million for all these different charities by playing like an hour a day or hour every other day in his basement, and for free. So you get the audience in an app, and it could become very popular. It could do something. You could get the investors that you need. Maybe about, I'd say 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. There was an app called Draw Something, very popular at the time. Within the first 3 weeks, it made $40 million. And it was basically Pictionary, but on your phone, and it was fun. So there's all that thing, all those different analysis. And then create a YouTube or some type of video showing your presentation like we did this far. All right, so if you have any questions, you know how to reach me. So here we go. So this is what I was thinking on the pre-post. I put this data together already, so I wasn't going to go through it and come up with it. So what I did here is I created the name of the application. I called it Pointgram, opposite of Instagram. The period is pre. So this is before I pitched the idea to the consumer, or well, to the investor, hoping that he or she will be interested in my app. So what I did here is I collected an amount of data on the number of likes, based it on location, so region. I don't have all these, there could be multiple regions, so this is just a sample set of data. And then I put the month and the year that I collected the data. So this right here for my pre-speech is me telling, hey, the customer, or the investor, I keep saying customer, look here, in January 2019, I received 233 likes. What that means is someone liked my app. They went through it, they took the time and clicked the like button. I collected the total time spent. So this is where the API plays a good role, because the amount of time that the user is spending on that device, and it could be this right here, as I'm thinking, a tally of 801 minutes and 52 seconds in the Pittsburgh area spent, and that could be multiple users. If you get more detail, you could break it down. But in this sense, I'm saying that there was 801 minutes, almost 802 minutes spent on that app in the Pittsburgh area. And then I'm putting the impressions. So in this example here, I'm putting, there were 60,614.95. Now, how do you get the decimal? It could be half of an impression, where they start looking at something, and then they leave. Impressions are visits. It's how many times a website was visited. So it would be the same thing for the app. So let's say that there's a bunch of different levels. So every level you make it, or every new screen you get, is called an impression, so that you're getting an audience. And then in this example here, as I did a revenue equation. So I come out with some type of estimate. How the estimate works is typically, for example, I use AdMob for, there's a game I developed in the past for iOS and Android in real life, for real. And so what it is an advertisement I put on there. And for every 1 to 1,000 impressions that I get $1. So every 1,000 is $1, and so forth. So what I did is I come up with the amount of impressions, did the math, and then calculated how much revenue that I would get. So in this case right here, my idea to them is say, hey, you know what? Just in these small areas here, this is pretty right. I'll make sure I don't have. I think post is more. Just double checking. Yeah, okay. So post is more, but it's a smaller subset. So in pre, I'm saying that we have $11,000 in revenue over X amount of months, right? Let's see here. I think I included more data than I wanted to here. I think really, this is all of it, pre and post. So let me go back. I have it. I knew I had it broken down. That's the consolidated version. So let me go back and rewind here. So here's the pre. The pre is the number of likes, like I mentioned right here, total spent. If you look at the revenue is only $27.50, which is a small amount. There's no charge for using the ad mob. They're throwing their advertisements out there. They're making time off of it, and you're making some money. So you put your ID, you're like saying, hey, in the pre-stage of it, I made $2,700, almost $2,800 per se, in these regions here. Now these are just some regions. So this is a nice breakdown. All right, so this is an idea that we could pitch to them at the end of the day and say, this is what we got for now. I said, hey, this is a startup. We've only been doing this for 4 months, and in 4 months in these areas, we've made this amount of money. So imagine if we did to these other areas. But in order for us to move into other markets, such as Michigan and stuff like that, to make it's not that our app's not available. It's just that right now, the amount of disk space that we have, we're unable to collect all this data. And in order to collect all the data, we need investment. With this investment, could be good because let's say that our numbers increase. So for example, we move over to post. You see how our numbers of using the same impressions, our impressions have moved. So we could use this in our analysis and say, hey, here's where we did after we did this, and our application increased over time with the limited markets that we have. So we went from, let's see, originally we had, well, that's all of them. Originally we had what? Let's see here. What, 2.7 million impressions. And then after it caught on in a region, we increased to 8.2 million. So we did a huge increase. We could present that in our data as well and say, wow, this is how we jumped. And then our revenue is obviously around 2,700, and we went from 2,700 to 8,000. So once again, our revenue jumped. So imagine if we're in all these markets and we're getting all this revenue. This is just advertisements. Then we could pitch other ideas that, hey, we could have app buy-ins in the app. Maybe you want to spend $1.99 to get X amount of coins that puts you to another level. You could pitch all kinds of ideas. But anyways, nonetheless, this is just a concept. And then we could show when we submit it to Tableau, what I'll do is I'll submit all this stuff and I'll take all of it together. And we put it together within like 11 months. We had 11 million impressions, and our revenue overall was $11,000. I mean, is that a ton of money? Absolutely not. But if you break it down and start getting all the areas, that could be $11 million just off the bat like that. So this is what I'm looking for you guys to do, is take this data, import it into Tableau, start creating some reports, and then create a story to go with your report. So, you pitch your idea to this, to the investor. This is what I have. And then you pitch to the output later on and say, hey, this is the output and so forth. So that's what I have. Hopefully this is helpful. This has given you some experience on presenting. It would be great if we were in person. In a classroom would be essentially better, but for the heck of it, this will be fine. So it gives you that presence, and then it gives you an idea to start doing like reports or analysis reports based off of how things fluctuate from one end to another end, and then you're using a tool. I know that some of you may not be used to Tableau. I haven't used it that often myself, but it's just like any other tool. Once you start playing around with it, it becomes very familiar. So thanks for watching, everyone. I wanted to say guys, but men and women, ladies and guys, and I'll talk to you soon, okay? And this is video number 1 of 2.